Okay, I'm Yvonne. I'm one of the tutors at the Cotswold Academy, and today what I'm going to talk you through is just going to talk a bit about menopause and how we can apply that onto the feet when we're giving reflexology. Obviously, menopause, we're going to be focusing on women today as I'm demonstrating on the feet, and it's all about asking and helping your client to relax as you're doing your treatment for menopause. So we just talk about menopause first. So you've got lots of different things that happen with menopause, and everybody's journey is going to be different as you're going through the menopause. So we've got, some women are going to experience hot flushes, the common ones, or you've got, sometimes you can get, even problems with your teeth feeling sore, you can get digestive issues, your skin gets drier, we don't have as much support in our skin as we lose our estrogen and our support, our collagen. So all of these are natural processes. But of course, it doesn't always feel great when we're going through the menopause. So what we can do as reflexologists is really help with the endocrine system, because it's your endocrine system that's making those changes happen. So what we'd really like it to happen is a nice gradual process through the body. But unfortunately, our body has a different view of it, and it tends to be a little bit more erratic. So as a reflexologist, what we want to do is just try and smooth that along so it's not quite such a bumpy ride. So when I'm demonstrating the reflexology, what I'm going to do, I don't want you to change your routine. So you're going to do your routine exactly the same as it was before. So you can start with your relaxation, open up your meridians, and then just work your way through the reflexology as you've done before. But the extra bit, I'm going to give you some more focus on the endocrine system. And we're going to keep linking back to the endocrine system. Now, you might not have heard of the linking movements before. So it's a precision reflexology technique where we get different parts of the body to talk to each other. So instead of being more erratic and communicating their own way, we're going to steady that down. So it could be with hot flushes. We've got to think about why the body's having hot flushes. So we can concentrate on the hypothalamus, which controls and regulates temperature in the body. We could maybe work on the thyroid, because that's going to work with our metabolism and keeping that a little bit steadier, and link it in with the ovaries as well, because they're helping to balance all the endocrine system. So a big focus on the endocrine system. So I'm going to show you some of those endocrine techniques. So like I say, don't change what you're doing. I'm just going to add in techniques as we go along. So I'm going to show you that now. So I'm just going to show you the warm-up, start with the warm-up, and then we'll go into the linking techniques. If you're an aromatherapist, you can also blend in essential oils to help with menopause. So I'm going to use geranium. So I'm just going to use a bit of balm here. I'm using the Essence Systemology balm. And then we can put in just a couple of drops and use geranium. I've got that in my hand. Oh, it smells so good. Doesn't want to go out. There we go. So 2 drops, 1 per foot. Mix that into our hand. But with reflexology, it's all about thinking about what your client's needs are as well. So your good detailed consultation is going to be really important. So finding out how the menopause is really affecting them and how you want to help them in their reflexology, supporting their journey through their menopause. So it could be post-menopause, menopause, perimenopausal. So any of those techniques, your client will feel the changes in their body. So just starting with some relaxation. I want to give the body a nice relaxed state. So I can just breathe in for me. And then breathing out. So we're going to do 2 or 3 breaths. Breathing out. It's a nice time for you to relax as well as a reflexologist. If you've had a busy day, it's all nice and calm. So just a little bit of relaxation you might have learned already. So really warming up the client. The client might have feelings when you're going through the menopause. Your feelings and emotions can become quite erratic as well. Your thyroid has a big impact on frustration and the feelings and storing of frustration. You might have heard people go through menopause that feel like they have kind of a rage inside their body. So actually, it's quite a good area to work is the thyroid. So working on those areas. Some people get brain fog. There's lots of talk about brain fog at the moment. So again, we can help to stabilise that, maybe get a little bit more focus. Just warming up the feet. Using our thumbs to open up the energy channels. So you've got your 5 lines, and this is just going to help to, like I say, get the energy flowing. Just like you've been trained in reflexology, you might open up the channels differently. And don't forget, when you're opening up the channels, just maybe pop another 5 lines on the toe, particularly for endocrine, rebalancing, menopause. Just helps to clear the mind a little bit more, settle any worries. And then of course go to the other foot. So just a repeat of what you've done, nice and calm. Going through your zones again. So, like I say, any form of relaxation techniques, start off with, especially if your client's quite stressed out from going through menopause. So then when I come to the end of my warm-up here and opening the meridians, your energy channels, I start my reflexology with working the respiratory system. So I'd start with the nose, the mouth, working down the bronchial tubes, into the lungs, the diaphragm. So working all those areas. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start engaging the endocrine system. So instead of waiting to only just go through it once, we're going to do that in between each system. So I'm not going to go through each system as I do, but just how to work the endocrine system. There might be a few different techniques. Hold that foot up, nice and warm. So we're going to work through your respiratory system, which is where I start. And then we're going to start on the endocrine system. So a lot of it's based in the head area. So again, don't worry if the placements are different to how you've been trained. Just work your endocrine system, the placement where they are. I'm going to start off with the hypothalamus. So just nice firm grip of the big toe. Walk up onto the hypothalamus. I'm just going to thumb walk onto there. Might feel a bit spiky for your client, especially with hot flushes or the big endocrine. There's lots of stress in the endocrine system, nervous system, and then we can just pulse onto that point. Just checking with your client, they can be a bit sore. I'm now going to move over to the pineal gland. So I'm going to walk up to there. Some thumb walking over the top. I'm going to press in and release. Pressing in and release. And we're going to repeat that through the endocrine system. So the pituitary gland. Move up to the pituitary gland. So this one has a big part, doesn't it, in our endocrine system, lots of different functions in the body. So press and release, press and release. Going to go down to parathyroids. These are important as you get over the age of 50, as our calcium levels can get a little bit more erratic, the onset of osteoporosis in menopausal women, and your parathyroids help to balance your calcium levels. So again, we're going to press and release. So you'll notice I'm pulling the foot onto the thumb. So instead of me using all my thumb pressure, so weakening my thumb, I can use the force of the foot going onto my thumb instead. Then we've got this nice big area here for the thyroid and the thyroid helper. So this one, like I say, if somebody's got lots of feelings of frustration, anger, this is a really good area to work. And work through here. If their energy is really low, as we get over the age of 40, our metabolism starts to change, it slows down. So I'm going to work around there. Down to your adrenals in here. So I'm just going to slide up into the adrenals. You know when you found them, they feel a bit spiky with your client. I'm going to press in. If you're okay comfortable wise, you can then bring the foot over onto the adrenal point. So wherever you locate the adrenal point is absolutely fine. Just wanting to work it a little bit harder. Again, your adrenal gland changes as you're moving through the menopause. So we're going to press and release and press and release. And I'm going to go down a little bit further and onto the ovaries. So on the outside of the foot, in this area here, so right in the centre of this line, ovaries. I'm going to put the finger here, and we're just going to rotate. So we're using the force of the client's foot again to just rotate onto here. It can feel quite tender, so just be careful with your clients. So we're just going to rotate on there, and we're going to hold and release, and hold and release. So we're really waking up the endocrine system, helping to settle the endocrine system. So we're going to do that each time between the systems. So then maybe you'd go on to the musculoskeletal system, you're going to work the musculoskeletal system and then work the endocrine system as well. So you really engage the endocrine system, which is the big part that changes when you're having to go through the menopause. So working through those, do the endocrine system, move on to your next system. If you're a reflexologist that's been trained to work down the foot, then do your zone 1 endocrine system, zone 2 endocrine system, zone 3 endocrine system, work your way down that way instead. So now we come on to working with these linking techniques. So I'm just going to hop onto the other foot to do that. That's all right there. So when you're thinking about linking, this is where it's really important that you've had that really nice conversation with your client about how menopause is really affecting them. So if I start off, say it's their energy levels, they're feeling that sort of anger, frustration that's working. So that's all coming from your thyroid, it's got a big influence there, storing those emotions. Normally our energy changes. So we're going to go back to the thyroid. I'm going to work the thyroid. And then what we want to do is then link it with the endocrine system in the head, so in the brain area. So what I'm going to do is going to take thumb and finger here, and it's an energy movement, so you're balancing the energy. So I'm just going to place one thumb or finger on here, and I'm going to place it in with the hypothalamus, which is concentrating on keeping us nice and calm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm linking the two together. I'm just going to pause. There's no pressure, it's just a pause. I want you to just hold that space there. What you might find will happen is you'll start to feel a pulse in the feet. So your client might feel it, or you might just feel it in your fingertips. And this is just helping them to communicate. I call it them chatting to each other. So instead of them having a really bizarre conversation where they're not talking to each other, this time they're going to be talking to each other. So you're getting the communication open. So settling everything down. But say you had the thyroid and your energy levels were really low, and you had all those sort of erratic emotions which weren't letting you sleep because you were really upset with, just couldn't sleep. You do get that through the menopause. Then actually we could link it with the pineal gland. So it's thinking about how your client is working through the menopause, how their journey is, what are their symptoms, how it's really affecting them, and then linking those together, really thinking about the anatomy and how it works. So this time I'm going to link the pineal gland with the thyroid for energy levels, and just holding it there for this space. Seeing if we can get that pulse going, to get a nice steady pulse. Then moving on, I'm going to think about how people get really stressed. You get anxiety when you go through menopause because unfortunately your hormones are going up and down. They should be in a nice steady decline, but your hormones are a bit more erratic. So I'm going to settle the body a little bit more. So I'm going to focus on the adrenal glands, and I'm going to focus in again on the hypothalamus or the pituitary, And then I do work a spot here for the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve helps to engage the parasympathetic. So I've got a thumb on the vagus nerve just on this side of the toe. And I'm going to place my other finger on top of the toe for the hypothalamus. And then I'm going to use the other hand as well. It's a little bit more technical. We're going to have 3 points here. So I'm going to have my thumb on the adrenal gland, and then like a dart going all the way through, my finger on top. So we're now getting the 3 to work together. So now I'm feeling quite a nice pulse through these 3 points. So the vagus nerve, hypothalamus, and the adrenal, getting them all to have a really nice chat together. Instead of working all separately, we want them to work together. So you can do this type of linking move anywhere. So just place it as you're going through. So you're working your reflexology system normally, as you always do, but between each system or each zone of the body that you're working on the foot, you're going to keep putting in the endocrine system. So keep repeating it. So you might find you've repeated it 5 to 8 times throughout your reflexology treatment. And then the areas that your client is really suffering with, we're going to link those. So that's your communication with them, having your consultation to begin with. So another one I'd like to show you, digestion shows up a lot in as people go through the menopause. As everything changes, we tend to get more intolerances. So again, small intestines, or you've got your colon in here. So wherever they're feeling that build up, could be IBS. Again, we can do another linking move. So we really want the head, the brain, to talk with the digestive system. So we're just going to place our thumb in the middle of the digestive system, finger on top like a dart, so we've got an energy moving all the way through. And then again, I'm just going to engage that with the brain area. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to place my thumb on the vagus nerve, and then on the hypothalamus. So we're creating this, like I said, this beautiful conversation between all of them. So yeah, just settling that down again. So again, what I can feel is a pulse. Don't worry if it doesn't come straight away. Sometimes it takes time. And then another really big one, and I'll just do this one for the last one, is working on the ovaries and linking those to the pituitary gland. So what's happening as your estrogen levels are changing, we can't stop that. Everyone goes through menopause, we can't make it change, we can't stop it, but what we can do is maybe make it a bit steadier, the journey a bit more smooth riding. So just holding on the ovaries, and then your thumb placement on the uterus. Place all these together. We've got the adrenal gland and we've got the pituitary gland. So we're communicating with all the hormone points. So pituitary gland, which talks to your ovaries. We've got the adrenal gland for the adrenal cortex, helping to settle the nervous system. So all these are now gently working together to help balance the body. So hold it. Sometimes it can take, up to a minute to hold these points. Really calming to have done as a client. And then go back by finishing your endocrine system. So after you've finished all your reflexology, finish again on the endocrine system. But instead of working the endocrine system, again, just a gentle hold. So we're going to hold hypothalamus. We're going to hold the pineal. So it's more about holding the space for your client this time. Holding pituitary, parathyroids, thyroid, adrenals, and then lastly on the ovaries here. So possibly just new techniques that you've not used before. Hope you've enjoyed the video. And it might give you some new techniques to use, whether you're new to reflexology or you've been doing it ages and you want to just have something a little bit new. Just finish off with your relaxation and then balance the feet together. If you've got any comments, feel free to put them in the comment section. Thanks very much.